Hello, my name is Gold Vision. I'm out in space, like usual. This game is Kerbal Space Program. There's a new one on the horizon, and I wanted to be familiar. I have always wanted to try it out, and I just never have. And um, it's an experience that I think would be really useful for just dreaming. Really, the idea of being able to jump out into the sky for a bit and be a different person, explore space. You can do it pretty easily. You just press extravehicular activity. You can only really climb up and down on this part just a little bit, but you can be out there in space and you can get there pretty quick. That's what the Kerbals sound like. And we're just in this capsule out there. Oh, wow. And I am not proficient. Wow. But fortunately there's a lot of tools in place to keep things safe. Just making sure that I'm doing things. It's a learning process, and I'm trying to exercise the parts of my brain that help me grow as a person. The cycle of personal improvement. That's the path that I'm taking. The parachute's already been configured to open, but I'm going to make sure that I do it right. This time we're going to do something a little different. Remember in the construction tutorial where you design the vessel, you set the chute to not semi-deploy until 0.75 atmospheres of pressure. That means the chute won't perform the first of its 2 deployment stages until then, even if you activate it by the staging now. On Kerbin, which is the planet we're on, the 0.75 atmospheres means about 2,000 meters altitude above sea level. The craft should be traveling slowly enough by then the chute will survive deployment. So let's take the bold step of arming the chute now and let the smarts in there pop it at the right altitude. Stage the chute now by pressing space. I believe I've staged it. Awesome. So while we set your chute to not actually semi-deploy until around 2 kilometers, we do look out for you at Mission Control. We do not need to ensure that the opening height, its second full deployment step, is correct. You can even adjust these parameters during flight, so right-click on the parachute now and check their sliders. Oh, there they are. Don't touch the pressure slider, or bad things will happen. It's right here. Very close to it. And make sure the full deploy altitude is no less than 1,000 meters, or you will not have enough time to slow down. Once you're satisfied, just hang on until about 2 kilometers and watch the parachute trigger itself according to the settings we've chosen. While we're waiting, I want you to look at the bottom of the capsule. Note that you do not have a heat shield. You don't need one because this is such a gentle flight. Actually, a heat shield would make things more dangerous on this craft because the additional mass would be pushing the limits of the parachute. And I'm okay with all that. There is no heat shield, you're right. I can barely see the lack of a heat shield on the parachute. I think it's important that we explore space. I think it's important that we aspire to be out in the universe, and I think there's so much out there that we're going to find, and hopefully soon. And I think that we need to have good principles before we get out there, just so that way we we don't just like revamp a lot of the negative things that we've managed to create here in this world. Instead, I think it's just a a series of joyful explorations that we're going to embark on as a culture, as a society. And I think this game has, if you want to call it a game, this experience has a lot of physics and just a lot of the same principles that go into actual space travel. I've only scratched the surface, if you want to say that, and that's not enough for me. I wish I knew more. I'm actually a very scientific-minded person for what education I've pursued, but I haven't fully optimized my expression experiences, and I want to be a bigger part of the progress that our culture makes, because I think that this is going to be something that's more accessible to everybody, and I think it'll be sooner than later. And I think we're going to want to be prepared. We're going to want to be strong in these skills, so that way we can progress quickly and efficiently, intelligently. There's a suggestion that it might take a few generations, and I personally want to believe it'll be much quicker than that. I think simply looking at the progress between when the internet became kind of full accessible and the way that information's been distributed, I think that we'll be able to use things like quantum computers to really accelerate any kind of mathematics and make them accessible and make the progress that we achieve as a society much more optimized for just personal space travel. That's the mental image that I've created for myself. I really hope that that's what we're going to get to. Just a phase of personal space travel, and optimistically we'll move in whatever direction we want to. I think, I hate to say it, but at one time in my life I was told that the idea of playing video games as a profession was impossible. It would never happen for anyone. And although I don't necessarily understand fully the value of that in our culture, it's something that's happened. And so it's difficult for me to accept the idea of impossibilities at this point. I really think that the idea of anything we can think of, anything we can imagine, and its potentials in our future are so tenable, or so manageable, or so possible, that we should really aspire to just kind of encapsulate and understand and appreciate and grow toward what we can do. And I think we're going to be able to do it. And I just wanted to jump on for a few moments. I've had a very frustrating series of moments today, but I wanted to have a quick, successful trip in and out of space. There was a much more dramatic one that took place and concluded today with the landing of a particular vehicle on a different planet. That it's pretty impressive. I haven't achieved that kind of proficiency in space travel, but like I guess I've been trying to say, I think that it's much more possible than it ever once was. So I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and I'm glad that I get to share silly little moments like these, like my finally successful flight. There was one detail I guess I should have pointed out, and this was actually a very frustrating thing for me, but decoupling is the pressing of the space bar, and it took me several tries to understand what exactly that meant. It's a very simple process. If you're unfamiliar with this game, it's called Kerbal Space Program, and it's about designing these spacecrafts with modular pieces and trying to build a kind of space program. And just just kind of experimental physics and creating the image of a successful space program is something that I think is incredibly socially valuable. I don't know how consistent the processes are between what happens here and what might happen at your JPLs or your command centers, your Houstons. But this is kind of where we started. And the questions, the ideas of why I play games this late in the evening, it's when I finally get a bit of time to share. And I really like just being there and throwing out the rest of my day, tossing it out there into the internet, and being a part of this huge, amazing, beautiful community that is people. It's confusing and there's no beginning, middle, or end that I can fully comprehend, but that is almost irrelevant because there is right now. And it's a very special thing. And I can't really understand the distant past or the extreme future, but I can understand now. And that's what I want to be, and that's what I want to share in my human experience. This game is older, and there's, the seams are showing, but the next iteration is in development, and not just of Kerbal Space Program 2, but of a lot of games. There's a lot of developers out in the world who are making the next game right now, and the next big game. They're developing it. They might not even know that yet. And I think it's important that we convey the things that we want to see in games and embrace and enjoy the ones that we have at our disposal, because that's what's going to get made, the ones that we want to see. I'm going to do it a little early, but by selecting it and putting the space, that creates the deployment, that stages your spacecraft. I don't know what the future is for this particular astronaut. I'm sure they'll come back down. This was a suborbital launch. And you don't have to worry too much about it because we've already demonstrated the success of this mission. But I did want to share it, and I wanted to make sure that we celebrate the achievements of the human space program today. Perseverance, congratulations, and I'm looking forward to what we do next as a community of billions of people on the planet together. Until next time, my name is Gold Vision. This is Kerbal Space Program, and I hope that you have a beautiful night.